Thanks, Andrew. Welcome, everyone. Thank you to PackRat and OGC and Andrew and all the folks over there that helped out with this. We'll just start going over kind of how I got into cycling and then into bike packing and kind of the adventure cycling that I love so much. My brother did this big, it was kind of like a philanthropic bike ride across the states when he was in college with his fraternity. And it kind of moved me seeing him do that and kind of inspired me to start getting into bikes. And then I started getting into dirt road riding, more adventure cycling. Found bikepacking.com, kind of got obsessed with the idea of loading stuff onto my bike and getting out there. I lived in Colorado for a few years and really fell in love with outdoors and backpacking, which is something I didn't really grow up doing. I grew up in Florida, and although we were outside a lot, there wasn't a ton of backpacking or bike packing at all really in my world when I was there. But yeah, discovered bikepacking.com and then kind of dipped my toes into it, strapped some dry bags to my bike with some friends. Actually, one of my funniest stories of like an early bikepacking trip with a buddy. We went to the bottom of Rollins Pass. Our plan was to get up to the top and then camp up there, ride down the next morning. And he showed up with 2 backpacks, and that was his gear. He was planning on wearing one on the back and then one on the front. You know how some people would like tour, backpacking in like Europe or something, and I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna work. So we kind of shifted things. I took one of the backpacks and like lent him some of my bike bags, and we made it work. But yeah, that was kind of my dip into bike packing, and then I found out about people doing races, and I was like, that's just insane. People are doing this for days on end with no sleep. I think the biggest like feat that kind of blew my mind was this guy Neil Betchenko, who he held the Colorado Trail race record for a while, and he did 550 miles with like 30 minutes of sleep or something like that. Something just absolutely ridiculous, and that blew my mind. So yeah, I kind of started idolizing these racers and was like, well, I need to stop doing that, and I need to just like get into it. So I signed up for, actually the first race I officially signed up for was the Ouachita Triple Crown out here while I was still living in Colorado. That was in October of 22. And while I was training for it, I found out about a 1,000-mile race. So the Ouachita Triple Crown is about 180 miles or so with like the out and back to get in and out of hot springs. So I was like, yeah, if I can do a 1,000-mile race, I'll be fine on the 200-mile race. So my first race was a 1,000-mile race. I kind of just dove into it totally blind. The first 70 miles of that race was an absolute disaster, but I managed to stick through and got it done. But yeah, that was my start with the races, and the rest is kind of history. My first bikepacking rig definitely did not look like this. This is a little more dialed now. I started with just like dry bags, straps, anything I could find, and just slapped on the bike. That's kind of the beauty of bikepacking. Like anybody that's trying to get into it, you don't need this at all. Like if you have dry bags, a backpack, you're good to go. Get out there. But yeah, we'll kind of just go through the bike, and we'll do a Q&A at the end. But if you guys have like burning questions while I'm unpacking the bike and going through all the gear, feel free to interrupt me. But yeah, we'll do a Q&A afterwards. But we'll do a little bit of info on the last race that I did as well, and then we'll dive into the gear. it was the Atlas Mountain Race. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of it, but it is in Morocco. It starts in Marrakesh and ends on the coast in this beautiful town called Essaouira. I think I pronounced that correctly. Could be wrong, but it's 800 miles with something like 95,000 feet of elevation gain. It's pretty rough riding. It's like barren desert almost the entire time. I think I saw like maybe 4 or 5 natural water sources while I was out there. So water is kind of tough. You're carrying a lot of water. Resupplies are kind of tough as well. The food out there is pretty limited to like eggs and tea. So you get really familiar with eggs and omelets. But yeah, the race is definitely, it's I think in the top like 2 or 3 hardest races I've ever done. Mile for mile, it's definitely harder than the Tour Divide. Honestly, Doom is pretty similar in terms of like just constant hard riding. I think Doom might have it beat mile for mile just because it's like constant hard riding. There's a little bit of reprieve on the Atlas Mountain Race every now and then. There's a good amount of pavement. But kind of going into a little bit of my bike setup, and then we'll go into the gear. I've been riding single speed for several years now. I've done all my racing on single speed. That was kind of influenced after a trip of mine was ruined on the Colorado Trail. I was like 50 miles from the finish, and my shifter broke on me, and I couldn't get a replacement. And it kind of bummed me out on gears and derailleurs and shifters. So I dropped all that, and I've been riding single speed since then. But for this race, I rode with a 34 tooth chainring and a 20 tooth rear cog, 120 mil suspension. I didn't actually have this dropper post. That is an addition for Doom. But yeah, that's kind of the quick and dirty of the bike setup. But now we'll kind of just go into the gear that we slapped on this thing. I've always kind of hesitant to use like a handlebar bag or like aero bar bag until I came across this one from Zach Smith at South City Stitchworks. It's super solid. I've never had any problems with anything coming out. This bag lives in there when I'm on the bike. So for the race, I kind of just had this was the only thing in there. Just my puffy jacket, easy access. I wanted it to stay dry. This is a beautiful puffy jacket. It's a Specialized jacket, and it has the double zippers. So when you're bike packing and layering is a big element, like being able to zip down and up both directions is like it's an incredible feature. If you're a road cyclist, I'm sure you've seen that on all your vests and jerseys and all that. I kind of skipped into that. I'm gonna go through the clothes that I was wearing first before I do the rest of the stuff. The Atlas race actually started at 6 p.m. And that was pretty close to sunset, so I opted to just like wear my long layers right away, which was pretty much underwear, shorts, kind of mountain bikey pants. That was my bottoms. Some Defeat socks. I love Defeat socks. They're incredible, long lasting, wool, quick drying. This is actually an extra shirt. Base layer, which I was against for a while, but my roommate convinced me that it was a good piece of kit, and yeah, I have to agree. It's incredible how much like moisture wicking it does. I didn't have like any problems when I was like going hard. When I was fully layered, I was just depending on that to soak everything up, and it was super solid, really impressive. Nice wool, like quarter button-up type thing, and vest with plenty of pockets. A lot of people ride with like hydration bladder vests. I prefer to not go with anything on my back. For anything that's that long, it really like starts to wear on your shoulders and your back to have stuff on your body. So I opt to not do that, but I have a ton of pockets on that vest to allow for carrying a ton of extra stuff. But we'll get back onto what's on the bike here. I've got my Garmin InReach, which if you have gotten into racing or you're really just into outdoors stuff, you've probably seen one of those. It is a kind of like a lifeline device if you are out in the wilderness. I've got my bike computer, Coros Dura, crazy battery life on that. I think I charged it once while I was in Atlas for 7 days, so super impressive. I've got a speaker that I always ride with. Music is big for me. Another thing on like packing the bike, I always go light stuff on the front and the back, heavy stuff in the middle, just to keep like the center of gravity low and keep everything heavy in the middle. So we'll dive into this frame bag. It's absolutely filthy right now. This is actually a lot of Moroccan dirt, sunscreen, sweat, maybe some tears. We like to sneak stuff into every nook and cranny, so we've got a beanie here that I'm sure I was slapping on sometimes at night. There were some crazy cold pockets out in Morocco. You'd go through these dry riverbeds and it would be like a 30-degree change. We've got some of my like toiletries in here, sunscreen. This is Leuco tape. I'm not sure. I think it's from Germany, but it's like incredible anti-blister tape if anybody has problems with blisters. This is really good. Also hot spots, if you get hot spots like on the bottoms of your feet. Really incredible. I've got a med kit in here as well. I don't use chamois cream, but I use occasionally this stuff, bag balm, which is, I think they use it on like cattle originally. And then if I do get saddle sores or anything, I use this stuff, Aveni Side Calphate. It's like baby repair cream, I guess. It works really well if you have saddle sores. It'll clean them up really quick. Kind of just gonna start piling stuff up here. Next is some more electronics. The electronics kind of just get scattered around the bike as we go on the trips. Like they'll usually all start in the frame bag, but usually a battery pack will end up in this top two bag just to like have it with easy access to charge stuff. But I've got, so I've got this light that's actually connected to a dynamo hub, which is super reliable. I've never had any problems with it. Probably close to 10,000 miles on that now. But I have a spare headlamp or handlebar light always. Extra battery pack. I have another battery pack in here. Light for the extra headlight. So with electronics, a lot of people do use stuff that's all like rechargeable. That's great. I used a few things that depend only on like lithium batteries, just to change it up so that I'm not like always depending on having to charge like 4 or 5 devices anytime I stop. That's kind of just like a racy thing. Obviously, if you're bike packing and you have all the time in the world, you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I like to keep a few things just with batteries. That's usually my headlamp and my rear light, simple Blackburn, like $15 light. Wall outlet, bunch of different cables, electronics right there. We've got, so with the food kind of being iffy in Morocco, I started with about this much food. I had them all like split up into smaller bags, but yeah, this is a good like 3-pound, 4-pound bag of, I don't know, this would probably could have lasted me a solid 2 days if I had just eaten all of this. But yeah, it's kind of it's a tough race when you don't know what to expect in terms of like resupplies. Tell you what's in it? Yeah, I think calorie-wise, I started with like close to 20,000. These are Velo Forte gels, super delicious, like beet, all like natural stuff. I'm a little bit of a hippie when it comes to that. Velo Forte bars as well. Just carbs, fuel, just sugar. More Velo Forte stuff. I have these like salt electrolyte tabs. Super useful, especially when you're riding in the desert. This is a Carbo Rocket product. It's called Half Evil. It's really good. I've tried a lot of like high carb products. That is the easiest on my stomach in terms of like shoving 100 grams of carbs into your system. Another flavor of that stuff, and then protein powder. I was taking probably 2 servings of these every day, and then a serving of protein powder every night, just to like have something consistent in my system every day. There are also some snacks in here. I started with also a giant bag of like Haribo gummy bears, more of those bars, more carbs fuel, raw Velo, and I don't know if they have them here, but they're these Nutella biscuits. They're like the easiest thing to eat, especially when you're not feeling that great on a bike. I'm a huge fan of those. I've been eating those for years now on the bike. Spare tube. I was running tubeless. I had this spare tube, and then I also had, oh, that's a little bit of dirt. This toolkit, which I'll just run through this pretty quick here. Little towel, that I don't think I've cleaned since then, for cleaning the chain. Leave this for now. We've got a patch kit, which also has spare chain links and a little sandpaper for the tubes. I think I actually gave those patches away at the end of the race to a tourer that couldn't find patches anywhere in Morocco. So they were like, "Oh, you have patches? It's gold out here." Spare valve. Always want to have one of those just in case. Spare cleats. If you're running clipless, you should always have spares of those. A few extra bacon strip plugs for the Dynaplug, which is in here. So I have my repair kit kind of split up into like urgent and not urgent. And that tube is definitely not urgent because it's all the way down here. But urgent is like lube, my Dynaplug, somebody help me. Yeah, multi-tool and zip ties. That's kind of my like quick access. Always want that, easily accessible. And then I also have a few more extra tubes. I had heard of people getting a ton of punctures out there and was kind of worried about it, so I brought that butyl tube and then 2 of these like fancy, super compact, yeah, TPU or something, yeah. But yeah, that was pretty much my repair kit. Didn't have to worry about anything drivetrain wise aside from chain links, which is always nice. I have my glasses case always accessible, battery pack, more salts, and yeah, that is pretty much everything in the front here. For these big desert rides, having the ability to carry like water down low is huge for me. Just fill that up. I think I had that filled up almost the entire time through Morocco, and kind of just depended on it being full every time I'd ride into the night. But yeah, that's kind of all the heavy stuff in the middle there. We'll go to the back. This is another South City rack system. Super solid. I've put a couple thousand miles on that with no problems now. This bag housed my sleep kit. So we've got a 40-degree sleeping bag down. We've got a inflatable pillow, which I'd never used one until the Tour Divide, and that was a game changer for the Tour Divide, and I will never camp without an inflatable pillow again. This is my emergency bivvy. I'll kind of just pull these out and then I'll actually set it up in a second here. And then an inflatable pad. Super solid dry bag too. But yeah, this is my sleep kit, essentially. If it was really cold, I would sleep in my down jacket and the riding pants. But I think it got really, really cold just one night. And the rest, I was either like between walls to keep myself away from the wind and stuff. But yeah, super packable sleeping pad. Doesn't take too long to inflate. For a long time, I was kind of against inflatable with like being tired and not wanting to deal with it. I preferred just pulling out the accordion sleeping bag and getting right to sleep, but I think it's worth it. It's definitely warmer. But yeah, this is kind of how I would set up. Obviously, I would inflate the pad, but I'd just shove my sleeping bag into the bivvy, which this is a loose term for a bivvy. This is kind of just a bag. Yeah, it's a waterproof sack pretty much. But yeah, I just do that, lay it out, pillow, inflate the pillow obviously, and that's good night right there. Honestly, really good sleep. With this over the ears and the eyes and then earplugs, I was out like a light every night. Yeah.
How long did you sleep at night?
Probably like 6 hours. Yeah, a lot. We were sleeping a lot. Yeah. Yeah, there have been races where I've done like sleep deprivation with like 2 hours of sleep a night for like 2 weeks, and it doesn't really make sense. You end up going just as fast as if you like sleep an extra 4 hours. Back here are some really sweet, like kind of stretchy fabric pockets where I would just keep kind of quick access stuff, extra socks if my socks got wet, some defeat gloves, nice warm gloves, and then kind of an extra backpack type thing that kind of pulls out and into a little backpack. Fill it up with extra food, water if you need it, but I actually did not use that once. But it's nice to have. On this side, I kept my rain jacket the whole time, which kind of just ended up being a windbreaker because we didn't get any rain the whole time, which was nice. Yeah, not having rain kind of turned it into an easy layering system. It was like once it's cold, you put on your cold stuff, and then once it warms up the next day, you take off your cold stuff. But yeah, solid 7 mesh rain jacket. I used this on the Tour Divide, and it was incredible. Actually, waterproof ultralight jacket. Like the Montbell jacket doesn't keep you actually dry at all. This works. If you're in the market for an insanely expensive ultralight jacket, go for 7 mesh and not Montbell. Sorry if you guys cover Montbell. Carry Montbell here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So actually, with these water bottle placements, I had like a double water bottle attachment type thing here, kind of just above the Nalgene, but like I think 200 miles into the race, it snapped. But luckily, I had mounts on the rack to swap those water bottles, which was super lucky. I don't know what I would have done otherwise. But I think bike-wise and gear-wise, that's pretty much it. Yeah, this is all my junk. This is all it takes. Thank you. Thank you.